Hi, I'm STARBORN. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be worried about the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Sudden Money. Oh boy, doesn't that sound great? And that is because there are some planets that have changed signs. And an important one is that the sun has now gone into Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and it is at 5 degrees, and it is conjuncting Uranus, that planet of sudden surprising change, at 3 degrees of Taurus. These planets in a conjunction mean that their power is compounded. They're very, very strong. And Taurus is a practical, hard-working earth sign that traditionally rules the second house of how you make your money and what you spend it or invest it in. And so that can, you could be happily surprised by some sudden money that either can be coming to you or someone that you are associated with. It might be your employer or a family member or a friend, so that would be nice. Because there can be an increase in wealth because none of the planets in Taurus are being challenged by any other planets. In fact, there are 4 fixed signs, but there's nothing in Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius. So that adds to the strength of the planets in Taurus already. And so that the increase in wealth could perhaps even come from your investments. It could come from a retirement portfolio that you've been working on. And that is because some long-range financial goal could be paying off, and perhaps in a rather surprisingly nice way. Or you could just get better news about your investment portfolio because the Sun and Uranus in Taurus are beautifully trining the Moon today, and Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And they are very close together. They're all conjuncting each other, so their power is strengthened as well. And the unlucky south node of the Moon now is exactly at 21 degrees of Capricorn and precisely conjuncting Saturn, the ruler of the sign, also at 21 degrees. So these 5 planets in these sturdy earth signs are also all trining the sign of Virgo. So there really is an emphasis right now on practical reality and certainly on things that cost money, or I think because the Sun and the Moon are trining each other, so the lights are there reinforcing each other, I think there can be some sudden money coming to you or to somebody pretty close to you, which is good. So the news could be good, which is great. And that simply means that we all know that something that's really good isn't free. And what I mean by that is that if you do experience an increase in wealth or some sudden money coming your way, it can also come with an additional burden or added responsibility. And that's because those planets in Taurus are trining a very dutiful, responsible sign, Capricorn, where the Moon and Saturn and Pluto are. And so there are different ways that this could occur. For instance, what if on your job you got a promotion? Well, that would be great, and besides, you'd get a raise right along with it. Well, that's an increase in wealth. But you'd also perhaps have a heavier workload and a lot less free time. So, there's sort of a trade-off there. Or what if you had an investment that you do get some good news on, or you have a sudden offer to buy something that you own at a nice high price, so you could be looking at some sudden money there, but at the same time, you would be looking at increased taxes. So that's another kind of a burden. Or what if your investment portfolio is growing and you decide to sell something right now, and so there you are with some nice money and you decide to buy a new home or a new car. But at the same time, it means that you would have much higher maintenance costs. There would be a cost to that you'd have to keep paying. And so that's what I mean by increased responsibility or burden. And so sudden money is nice, but it really isn't free. Besides, if something is worth having, it always does require something in return that we have to deal with. And so although the Sun and Uranus in Taurus are not being challenged at all, which is why I think there's sudden money coming our way, there is a harsh square still existing in the heavens, and it is between Venus and Mercury, which are closely conjuncting each other in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. But they are being squared quite harshly by the Moon today and Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And whenever Venus and Saturn square or oppose each other, that is the sign of a betrayal or a possible betrayal. And so there is the possibility that as you take on additional responsibilities or burdens and more money to go with it, that there could result in, it could result in a serious alteration of your lifestyle or of your long-term goals. And that might be due to a betrayal or some abdication of duties by someone else that could leave you with more duties instead. And by that I mean there could have been somebody even in your workplace that had always been going along doing their duty year after year, and finally they just get tired of that and say, I quit. Or maybe it's time for them to retire. And so there you are, stuck with additional duties. And so that could alter your plans or your lifestyle as well. And with Mars in Gemini, exactly squaring Neptune in Pisces, it simply means that there can be some malicious gossip around that you'd have to be a little bit careful about, or there could be people that are really painting blue sky, making promises that they have no intention of keeping, and so you could be duped into believing somebody who actually has a hidden agenda that they're not telling you about, and you could regret it if you take them at face value. And so this is still a time for some people in particular that really they should keep their back to the wall. There are some people such as Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, the mutable signs, that really ought to sort of protect themselves a little bit this week, a little bit more, and not believe everything that you hear. Okay, what does this idea of sudden money mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, I think that you could be in the mood for love, Aries. Venus is in your sign. Or it could be that you want to really get on with doing something that you love, and I think that you ought to go for it, Aries. And the reason why is that Venus in your sign is conjuncting Mercury, and they are both being trined beautifully by Jupiter in Sagittarius. That's wonderful, particularly since it's a Venus-Jupiter trine. That's very harmonious. So yes, you could be popular, but I think that you could go forward with something new, or at least the plans for it right now. I mean, maybe it's not happening right now. Maybe you would just be in the planning stages, for instance, of a long-distance trip, or you could be thinking of going back to school to increase your skills at a later date. And that is because those things are ruled by Sagittarius, and Jupiter is there trining your sun right now. At the same time, that Venus and Mercury in your sign are being harshly squared by the 3 planets in Capricorn. And that means, Aries, that you still have to sort of be aware that there could be a betrayal around somewhere. Or there could be somebody who has decided to abdicate their duties, just say, oh, okay, I'm leaving. And that could make an alteration in your lifestyle or your plans or your workload. And so you would have to consider that as well. But I would say it's very lucky that you have Venus in your sign trining Jupiter. This is an excellent time to plan a trip, even if you can't quite go on it yet. Your plans would work out really well. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when I really think there's some sudden money coming your way, Taurus. I really do. And I don't think there's anything stopping it either. Now, it doesn't mean that the pennies are going to fall out of the sky and head in your direction. It could mean that your employer could have been bidding on a contract. Whoa, maybe they got it, and that would give you job security. Or it could be that you are due for a raise or a promotion of some sort. That would be great. or you could be pleasantly surprised by the increased value in your retirement portfolio, and that could be quite encouraging for you. And I don't think that you're being challenged in any way right now, because you're under some wonderful aspects, and you have been for weeks now, because there are no planets in the other fixed signs squaring or opposing your sun sign, Taurus. Lucky you. So I think that this is a time when you really should understand that there's two sides to the equation here. Yes, there can be more money coming your way. It can be something that could assure your long-term security, so it could be very real, solid money that's going to be around for a long time, and it will probably grow, which is great. But there is going to be increased responsibility or a burden to go along with it. I mean, nothing's for free, particularly something that's worth having. So you have to understand that too. But your sign has never been afraid of hard work. So I think you're coming into a pretty good time, Taurus. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, you have Mars in your sign right now, and there are no planets in the other air signs, so you don't have any fortification or backup right now. And with Mars at 17 degrees in your sign, it is exactly square that Neptune in Pisces, which also doesn't have any backup, but it is at 18 degrees in Pisces. And so you really have to be careful right now, Gemini, not to say too much. In fact, you should be as quiet as possible this week, because no matter what you say, somebody could take it wrong. So you could be the victim of malicious gossip or false advertising, or some bad news in one way or another, or else you could feel like perpetuating that right now, and that would not be a good idea, because you have no backup. And that means that you could say something and somebody could take it a completely different way, and that might land you in a little hot water. And that's why I suggest that you keep your back to the wall. Don't believe everything people are telling you right now, Gemini. And if at all possible, try to tell people that you need a little more time to think about something, because this is not the week for you to make a final decision about anything. Just wait a while if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, I think that that you are going to be involved in some sort of change that could be the alteration of a lifestyle, or it could be involving a betrayal or an alteration in your long-term plans, or it could be you could be somehow associated with someone else abdicating their duties at this time. In other words, just giving them up. They may have a good reason, or they might not have any reason at all, but they could be doing that, just saying, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And you could be affected by that. And the reason why is that Saturn, the moon, your own ruler, and Pluto in Capricorn are harshly opposing your sun, and they're very strong there. That unlucky south node of the moon is doing the same thing. Somebody does not have your best interests at heart right now, Cancer, and they're not even thinking of your best interests. They're thinking about what they want, not about what you want. And then Venus and Mercury in Aries are squaring your sun, which is an indication that there is a new beginning on the horizon, but it may involve some sort of betrayal or something where it's going to cause an upset in your life as well. I'm not so sure it's happening to you, Cancer, but it could be happening to somebody that you're associated with. And so my advice to you this week is to try to just stay calm if you can, and try not to engage with anybody, particularly not somebody that really wants to have everything their own way. If you have to make up an excuse why you're not communicating with them, then that's just fine. That would save you a lot of problems this week, Cancer. Or else just try to stay home and do what makes you happy. That would be a good idea too. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a wonderful time for you. And the reason why is that Venus and Mercury in Aries are trining your sun, and so is Jupiter in Sagittarius. And so that does mean that there can be a lot of talk about a new beginning. It could be somebody else's new beginning, but they could be talking about including you in it as well, which would be great. And there could be some really good fortune headed your way that could be at a distance right now. You could be getting visitors from far away, or you could be planning to go back to school, or to take a long trip, a long distance trip, and all of that would work out really well right now, Leo. The one thing that you'd best be careful about is that now the Sun and Uranus are both in Taurus, squaring your Sun sign. So a Leo likes to take a little gamble every once in a while because Leos feel they're lucky. This is not the time to take a gamble, even if you feel you are lucky, Leo. Don't do it. And so you need to stick to real solid results, and you need to live within your budget and not go overboard right now, Leo, because a new beginning is wonderfully aspected. It's going to happen, Leo. It's just there may be a little hang up due to a betrayal or some sort of problem, but I don't think you're betraying anybody. I just think it's possible that someone else could be involved with that. And so you might end up getting stuck with some extra costs that you had not been anticipating, and that's why you shouldn't go overboard in spending any money right now. You might need it, but a new beginning is wonderfully aspected for you. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when you are also need to keep your back to the wall, Virgo. And the reason why is that Mars in Gemini is squaring your Sun, meaning you could be the victim of some malicious gossip right now, or that there could be danger in your neighborhood or with young people in one way or another, and so you should watch out for that. And then Jupiter in Sagittarius is also squaring your Sun, which means if you have made some plans for a long distance trip or an educational endeavor, they could be a little bit more expensive than you had been anticipating, or there could be a hang-up concerning all of that. And then Neptune in Pisces is opposing your Sun sign, so you are one of those people that best not believe a lot of blue sky right now. In other words, if somebody's making you a promise about something that sounds too good to be true, it means they've got a hidden agenda and they have no intention of keeping the promise, and that's why you need to be very cautious right now. The Sun and Uranus and Taurus are trining your Sun. There is some sudden money coming your way, and it might be an increase in the value of your investments because the planets in Capricorn are also trining your Sun. So overall, financially, it's looking great, but I wouldn't trust everybody right now, Virgo. Don't be misled by somebody until you see the facts or the proof. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when I think you need to be very, very cautious. And just like Cancer, maybe you just should go home and close the door right now. And the reason why is that sudden things could happen, and that's because Mars in Gemini is trining your Sun. That Mars is in a little bit of trouble right now, and so I don't think you should believe everything that you hear right now. Whether it's good news or bad news, I don't think you should really believe it right now, Libra. And the reason why is that it could be manufactured. It could be information that isn't true, or it could be advertising that is very deceptive. So try not to fall for any blue sky right now, and that's something nobody should do right now. But also there is the possibility that you can be somewhat closely associated with somebody who's involved in a betrayal or some abdication of duties. And so the worst would be that if somebody walks out and leaves you with a lot of work. Well, that might happen, Libra. And that's because the planets in Capricorn are squaring your Sun, and Venus, your own ruler, and Mercury in Aries are opposing your Sun sign. So a new beginning could sort of be put on hold right about now for one reason or another, and you know that might be the best thing. Something's got to get straightened out. It may not be directly affecting you, but indirectly it could affect you. And so, in other words, if somebody else makes a change, that could affect you. That's why if I were you, I'd try to sort of go home and close the door and be as quiet as possible this week if you can, Libra. Stay out of things if you can. That way you'll be more peaceful. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when the planets are starting to build up in Taurus. there's only two fixed financial signs, yours and Taurus. So now the Sun and Uranus, that planet of volatility and unexpected change, are both opposing your Sun sign. And the planets are going to start building up even more because the next new moon is in Taurus as well. And so you cannot afford to let go of any extra money right now, Scorpio. Even if you've got all the money and you can afford whatever it is you want, I wouldn't spend the money now. Because, first of all, there could be some more money coming your way, but oh boy, it would have strings on it and it would be somewhat costly. In other words, if there is a windfall that's coming your way or you win the lottery, you'd still have extra taxes to pay and they would be hefty. So that is why you need to be a little bit careful where finances are concerned, and I would at least not spend too much right now, Scorpio. Keep your hands in your pocket. And then there is the possibility that you can find out what is going on behind the scenes because Neptune in Pisces is trining your Sun. But just in case you are tempted to fall for somebody's blue sky proposal about how wonderful things are going to be, I really advise you not to do that right now, because even though Neptune is trining your Sun, Mars is squaring it. And that Mars can lead to a lot of communication trouble right now. So that is why I'm not so sure you need to keep your back to the wall, but if I were you, I would keep your hands in your pockets and just not spend extra money right now. You could need it soon. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, lucky you, Jupiter's in your sign, and now Venus and Mercury in Aries are trining it. Well, you're certainly popular. You could have your mind on love too, Sagittarius. And your plans for either entertaining people who are coming a long distance to see you, or if you're going on a pleasure trip a long distance, though that could work out really well for you. You may also be having a very quiet and deep feelings about how you feel about your religion or your philosophy or about higher education, all the things that your sign rules. And they would be good feelings. And that is because Venus is so well aspecting your Sun sign. So I think that a new beginning is really headed your way, Sagittarius, and you know you're going to enjoy it. And you're just going to love it. And so is somebody else. Whoever else is involved in that, they're going to love it too. So I wish you the best of luck. This is a time for you to make a new beginning. No matter what the circumstances are, I think you should go for it. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when you may experience some alteration in your lifestyle or your long-term goals, perhaps due to a betrayal or the abdication of some duties. It might be you that's abdicating. In other words, Capricorn is a very hardworking, persevering sign. And they like to work, okay? But there comes a time when it gets a little bit old, and if you can afford to retire, you ought to give that a try. And there could be some sudden money headed your way. It might come from a rise in value of an investment. Maybe you want to sell that now and take your profits. Or it could come because something that you own, someone else may want to buy at a higher price. Well, that would be great. But whatever it is, I think there is some sudden money headed your way, Capricorn, which is fine for you. It may allow you to make some sort of change which simplifies your life. And if you have been getting a little tired out doing your duty too much, maybe you could consider either moving somewhere that is less expensive to live. That would be a good idea. That would make your budget stretch a little bit better. Or else just downsizing a little bit. So if you were going to make a change of any kind right now, do it in favor of something that will give you more relaxation and reward you for all of your hard years of work. You know, in other words, something that can sort of calm you down and give you peace. I hope you do that. And if somebody thinks that that's a betrayal, too bad, because you would have earned that peace. And you would have earned that time of just relaxation. So I hope you take advantage of that. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, This is a time when I think that there can be some sudden money coming to you, but it could be involving a revolving door, meaning the money comes in one door and it goes out another. And the reason why is that the sun now and Uranus, your own ruler, are both squaring your sun. And they're very powerful. They are conjuncting each other, but there aren't any planets in your signs or the other fixed signs. And so, yes, there could be some sudden money around, but I'm not so sure that it's really going to land up in your pocket at the moment, Aquarius. Maybe there's some further steps that need to be taken, or maybe there's something that hasn't been quite decided yet, and until it is, you know, things are a little bit iffy. And also, we all have to remember, including you, that no matter what money is arriving on our doorsteps in one way or another, there can be additional burdens and responsibilities that go with it. And that could happen to you, Aquarius. You have to be careful about not falling for any false advertising or believing malicious gossip, because you could. Those kinds of things could be headed your way, since Mars in Gemini is trining your sun. So you need to be very careful in your selection of not only what you believe or what actions you take, but in your planning as well. You really should plan to have a little extra money around for the next 6 or 7 years. You're going to need it because of sudden fluctuations in your finances. But for right now, I think those fluctuations could represent an increase, not a decrease. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when I think that it would be a good idea for you not to fall for any blue sky and not to propose anything that you may not really intend to follow through on. So don't make promises you can't keep right now, Pisces, because it's going to really make a difference if you can't follow through or you don't intend to follow through. And so for right now, since yours is a mutable sign and that Mars in Gemini is squaring your sign exactly, this would be a good time, Pisces, for you to really keep your back to the wall and not believe a lot of things that people are saying right now. And don't even believe everything you're reading, because in your gentle way, you might fall for something that sounds too good to be true, and then you would be the victim. And that wouldn't be a good thing. So I hope that you really, you sort of keep your back to the wall, and that you remain a little bit quiet and non-committal this week, Pisces. That would be the best thing for you in the end, you know, so that you don't get too involved in things that could be rather overpowering for you now. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show, read our blog, and hear our podcast on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.